What's going on, motorsports fans? This is Jared here with the Bearded Garagistas. Always with me is my brother Brett.
How you doing? Sometimes, always.
Sometimes,
but I'm here.
Always. I'd rather it be always, but at least you're here. Tonight, the night before Jared goes to Sebring to take photos all day, and I am so stoked for it.
Wish I was going with you, man.
I wish you were too. We're going to chop it up a little bit about Formula One. By the time this episode comes out, it's most likely going to be race week.
Race week.
I can't wait. But yeah, we're going to chop it up right after this. All right, so let's start it off. Let's start it off talking about the launches, okay? Because I have a little bit to go over. McLaren's launch was awesome. I enjoyed it. I liked how they rolled the cars in. I liked how they had them there with the virtual fans behind them. I thought the making music segment was a little cringy.
That was so cringe. But you know what? Your dude, rather, can drive indoor, outdoor. Him driving up that McLaren was pretty tight squeeze there after Norris did it.
It was, but I think the worst part was he forgot to turn the headlights off.
Yeah, he said after do these turn off automatically?
Well, I think out of all the, I will say personally, I thought that out of all the car launches, that AlphaTauri's was the worst.
No.
Oh, it was horrible.
But you got to understand, I mean, they did the same thing last year. You got to understand, they're a clothing company.
I don't care. They're a Formula One team.
I mean, you don't necessarily see like Red Bull launches and they're, throwing Red Bull cans around. So like, I get that, but you got to understand it's going to be a fashion show with it.
No,
but,
dude,
all
listen.
right, so they're an Italian team. Like, look at the Italian teams though. Alfa Romeo, bro, they pulled a Ferrari this year, going all out with the dancers and the pianist. No? Did you see that one?
No, I didn't see that one, but I don't care.
Bro.
Listen, we're going to go over that. AlphaTauri had a 3-minute video of a clothing commercial that happened to have a car in it. They're not AlphaTauri clothing brand. They're AlphaTauri Formula One team. All right, this should have been about the car. We barely saw the fucking car. It was literally
at least we saw the car. Like there's other ones where like the knock on McLaren's is it was so long and it took so long to see the car. And then Alfa Romeo's, it took even longer to see the car and you got dancing all over the place, the red and the white coming together. I think if you would have seen Alfa Romeo's, you would not be saying that AlphaTauri's was the worst. And Alfa Romeo's wasn't bad. It's just I don't care for, the literal song and dance.
literal song and dance. They all do it. Have you noticed that? Like they had music.
Mostly the Italian teams.
Well, McLaren did a little that music segment, which was ridiculous.
No, McLaren used to have the Spice Girls back in the day coming out. That's no joke.
Well, they can't now because one of the Spice Girls is married to Christian Horner.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, which one was it?
So weird.
Baby, I think it was Baby Spice.
Oh, Ginger Spice.
Ginger Spice. That's which one was Baby Spice? Yeah, it was Ginger Spice. Baby Spice was the blonde chick, right?
Yes.
All right. Well, I mean, it's been a long time. So
you were all about Posh Spice, weren't you?
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
I don't know. All right, let's get back to it. All right. Oh, geez. All right, so let's get serious. Let's get serious. All right, serious face. Can Max Verstappen actually challenge Hamilton this year?
I know I'm jumping ahead, but looking at testing, I mean, we'll get there. But
yeah, but listen, you got to take it with a grain of salt.
I know, but if you put everything together, like, listen, I don't look at testing it and believe everything that I just saw, but I'm going to compare testing this year to how it's gone in the past. In the past, Red Bull, if they got a loose car, you'll see it, right? Last year showed that. Now, Mercedes is never one to be going out there and getting fastest laps. That's not what they care about at testing. But they 110% care about distance. They usually are topping the distance, usually topping it, but at least thereabout. And that is not what happened this year.
No,
that's what testing showed me.
Yeah, but I don't think that really matters. All right, so listen, you got to a certain point now with this Mercedes car that if they haven't perfected it, it's the last year under this scenario. I don't think that they made too big of a change. They had to get rid of the DOS system, right, this year. So, yeah, I will say that they didn't look like they were going to storm the field. However, bone on my tires are gone, and then the guy runs the fastest lap of the race. So
I know, but
I don't believe anything that comes out of Mercedes' mouth anymore. All right, now,
no.
From what we did see, it does look like they're vulnerable. I will say that, up until next year, because next year I think I think next year almost resets the field. But I think up until next year, this is probably the most vulnerable they'll be in a long time, and that's because they took away the DOS, which I think put them on the back foot a little bit. I think it changes a little bit. The big thing is two things for me. Two huge things. Red Bull always comes out of the gate slow. They either have a mishap. Last year it was Verstappen's engine, and then Hamilton spinning Albon again. But if their engine continues to have an issue like that, if their cars continue to have an issue like that, if they can't get out of the starting blocks, the race is over for them. All right, it's just like a drag race. You win in the first 60 feet. And if they don't get out of the starting blocks and actually make a dent in Mercedes at the beginning of this year, they're not going to run them down.
Okay, go.
My second point is, can Verstappen keep his cool under pressure? If Verstappen does come out of the gates hot, and if he takes it to Hamilton, it's not going to be a pushover win. He's going to have to battle Hamilton. Now, will he keep the cool that Leclerc showed at Monza when he was battling Hamilton? Will he keep that same cool? Will he be kind of relaxed under fire when stuff goes wrong? Will he be screaming into the microphone, and will he get rattled? Those are the two big things for me.
So my rebuttal there, and I don't even know if it's a rebuttal because I agree with you in some points, but first part is, what a lot of people are talking about is with the 10% reduction in downforce by cutting off that floor, right? So last year and the years before, it was almost clear to everyone except for Adrian Newey that a low rake route was the better one. And if you don't know what we're talking about, it's high rake is when the front of the car is close to the ground and then its ass is up in the air. And then a low rake is when it looks like it's squatting down a little bit and it's a little bit flatter front to back. So what a lot of people were looking at testing going, and not just at Mercedes, but at the other teams that run low rake, it looks like with that floor being chopped up, it may have flipped, and that now Red Bull is in the seat where their rear end is planted because they're running the high rake, and Mercedes has a loose rear end because they're squatting down low. So, I mean, we'll see. Everybody's saying, one team versus the other. They asked the team that has high rake, well, what do you think? Do you have an advantage? And they're like, I'd have to see both, in I forget what they call it, in their electronic simulator, right? Not the wind tunnel. And see, but it seems that way. So then it looks like Red Bull has an advantage over the Mercedes there. Then on top of that, Honda brought forward their 2022 engine to this year since they were bowing out. Now, you got a question mark on reliability because they brought it forward a year, but what they do now have, Red Bull has an engine that has the split turbo just like Mercedes has. So now you have an engine that is a lot faster and more compact. It's shaped differently. I think it's more compact. So you got Red Bull with an engine that's closer to the Mercedes style. So Honda definitely helped them out there. Now, to go on, can Verstappen handle the pressure? I'd say yes. I mean, he's been in the game so long, but I think if he's out in front, he's fine. if he's getting knocked here and there, like when he's winning the race, he's doing okay. You can pressure him from behind all day long. But if you go and try and unlap yourself like Ocon did at Brazil, and you take, Verstappen out, he loses his shit and tries to fight the guy in the paddock, right? So
I can't bother. I can't blame him for that too, because I'd have probably knocked Ocon out too. So
yeah, but and then what we forget is because Mercedes is always so out there and killing it and just grabbing a lead from the championship right away, we forget that what Hamilton used to be known for was coming back in the second part of the season and taking control of the championship then. We forget that Hamilton used to be better in the back half of the season than the front half of the season. And I would disagree that Red Bull for sure needs to be getting wins right off the bat. They do need to get wins right off the bat. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is they don't necessarily need to be winning the championship right from, race one.
I think
they need to stay close.
No,
they need to stay close.
No way.
Because Red Bull always develops better than every other team.
I think that they need to be in the driver's seat the entire season. I think if they fall behind in any way, I think they're going to get discouraged. I think things are going to go wrong. You always got to understand that, God forbid they make a shit call. God forbid God forbid, who gives a shit? It's Red Bull. If they make a shit call, if the reliability goes out, if you dump one race and you don't get the points for one race, that's enough for Hamilton to run away with this.
Yeah.
And I think Hamilton can be rattled too. We've all seen him be rattled. So can
Wait
vice
till
versa.
You get to that season of Drive to Survive.
I watched. I'm almost done with episode 2 with Drive to Survive. I got some.
You'll
time.
get there.
I'll get there. How much of you?
Hamilton could be rattled.
It came out today. How much could you watch? How much did you watch?
Let's not get there because
oh my god,
some people, might listen.
All right.
But no, what I'm talking about, yes, I agree with you. Like they got to stay close. They can't have like a DNF or anything like that. But if Perez, Bottas, Verstappen and Hamilton are going back and forth between 1, 2, 3, 4 and constantly flipping around that order, and they're literally in the championship, then they have a chance to win even if they're not dominating from race one. That's my point.
I hear what you're saying.
You're talking about Verstappen and Perez down in 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, no chance.
No. I hear what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. I just don't agree with what you're saying. I think that Red Bull. Hey, I'm being respectful about it. I'm just saying that I think Red Bull has to be in the driver's seat from day one. Verstappen has to be in the driver's seat from day one. Sergio Perez might have to bite the bullet and pull some blocking. I know that that's not a thing in Formula One, but if he gets out front, there's no way that he's putting his tail between his legs for Verstappen. I don't think
other
so
way
either.
around. He might play the team game in order to get an extension on his 1-year contract. But if he's out ahead, I don't think
is this a multi 21 type thing for Red Bull?
I think it depends on where Perez is in the championship. But I mean, I don't want to keep talking about Drive to Survive, but I mean, there's so many correlations because you got so many teams in the past. We'll say it this way. You got so many teams in the past where they tell one driver, hey, slow down, let so-and-so ahead for the championship. And that driver that lets the championship leader go is so gutted, takes such a shot to their ego that it's hard to rebound.
Yeah, but if it's Perez taking the back seat, they're not going to give a shit. But if it's Verstappen taking the back seat, I think that's going to be a problem.
Well, Red Bull wants a championship. But even more than that, Red Bull wants Max Verstappen to be the youngest champion in history.
Exactly.
They already hold that with Vettel, but they want to make it even further. That's part of their reason of bringing him up so young, is they always love to get those little pieces in the record book.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. So,
all right, enough with Red Bull.
You done with Red Bull?
I'm done with Red Bull.
Brett's Red Bull tapped. Haas is not developing the car this year. And
Stupid.
What do you mean stupid?
Stupid.
Listen. I don't think. All right, shush. 5 seconds, bro. Think about it this way, and I kind of agree with this. They're not going to make that big of a dent. They have 2 rookie drivers. Their car last year was trash. Their car this year is going to be trash. And then they're going to sit here and spend time and money in trying to develop this car through midway through the season. On top of that, they're not getting the engine into the car until they actually show up at the first race. Why would that be stupid? Save your money, save your capital, put it, keep it in the bank, or start investing it towards in the car next year. Start trying, it's who cares? What is it going to get you? Maybe one more place in the championship? It's not going to get you that much win money.
Save what money? Save what capital? I think if the Mazepins didn't come along, Haas would be out of F1.
I think Haas is already looking for the door. Even with the Mazepin money,
it's highly likely that it's a Russian team in just a couple of years. But I mean, depending on how the rules change go in 2022, if Haas still, if Haas isn't back up there, I think Haas will be out because he doesn't want to keep dicking around in the back. But what I don't like is if you're not at least challenging your team and making sure that what you're seeing in the wind tunnel and in CFD, I knew I'd get the acronym. If you're not seeing that, correlating that your CFD and your wind tunnel is accurate, then you can go so far down the rabbit hole. Now, I know that it's a change of aerodynamics and that anything they bring this year is not going to go for the car for next year. I get that. But by bringing upgrades here and there, you're at least able to make sure that your CFD and your wind tunnel are accurate and calibrated correctly. Because we've seen so many times to where teams get out there with a major upgrade that they think is going to be great, and lo and behold, their CFD and their wind tunnel were not reflecting accurately to reality. And when they get out there, they're way off the pace. That's my concern about Haas.
What you're saying is you're scared that Haas is going to go ahead and make all these and put this car on the track, and it's not going to be up to par, which in my opinion they would have already seen in testing, but we'll get to testing in a minute. But it's not going to be up to par, right out of testing, right out of the blocks. And
I'm worried about 2022.
How? Why? This has nothing to do with 2022.
I'm worried about 2022 because they're making all of their developments for 2022 based off of wind tunnel and CFD. Okay. But if you have your system messed up and your wind tunnel and CFD is not accurate, then you can do all you want for 2022. You're producing a shit car with 2 rookies that can't give feedback.
You're trying to calibrate a wind tunnel and all that stuff off of a car that's going to be completely different than what it is now. So regardless, it's not going to be on the same plane.
There's going to be some similarities, man. But I mean, to not test anything throughout the year, I just get very concerned that what they're doing in testing is not going to, in the computers, is not going to meet reality. That's my concern. That's my concern.
I can't agree with you on that. I think that it's going to be perfectly fine. I think it's a good business call. I think it's a way to save money and invest in the future. But again, I do think that Haas is looking for the door. Whether they sell to a Russian team or not, that remains to be seen. But I do believe that Gene Haas is they have the NASCAR thing going. He's got racing in his blood. He's got a race. So he doesn't need the headache of Formula One. He doesn't need, he's probably hemorrhaging money into that right now. If he can't find the sponsors, he's got to front it himself, whatever they're missing. Now with that Russian backing, that's great. But does Mazepin stick around? Do they just try to buy him out? What happens? Does Rich Energy try to buy the team?
Speaking of Russian investment, though, what's your feelings on an American team with a Russian flag all over? Because let's be honest, it's a Russian flag.
Honestly, in my opinion right now is that it's a Russian team already. I kind of agree with you when you said that. I don't think it's an American team anymore. I'm not a fan of having a Russian flag on an American car. And not that because I have anything against Russia themselves. I just think it's an American team, and us being on a podcast out of America trying to, expand motorsports in America, I would like to see an American team, right? This is, we don't get, us in America, fans of racing, fans of Formula One, don't get to see a lot of our country in that sport. That's one sport that we just don't have a presence in. So that being said, I don't know what their backing though was from the American fan base. Gene Haas at this point.
That's so true.
Gene Haas at this point might have been like, you know what, we're not getting the fans that we wanted. We're not selling the merch that we need, which honestly, if he wanted to really sell the merch, he'd either have to win or he'd have to be a marketing genius. Like, you'd have to bring in somebody like Mick Schumacher, but you on the downside of things, you bring in somebody like Mick Schumacher at the same time as you bring in Nikita Mazepin, and you pretty much sell off half your team to a Russian team.
And you know what? Bringing in, they were saying, I read somewhere, and I think I mentioned it on the show, that Ferrari was going to give Haas Mick Schumacher instead of putting him in Alfa Romeo because they felt bad at all the revenue that Haas missed out on because of their crappy engine, and by giving them someone as marketable as Mick Schumacher, that it was going to give Haas some more money. So then another report comes out more recently where Alfa Romeo put their foot down and said, we want at least one Italian driver in the team. So if Kimi was staying, right, so then I think the decision on where to put Mick came down to whether Kimi stayed. And if Kimi was staying, and which was totally up to him per his contract, then Giovinazzi had to stay in the seat, and therefore Mick Schumacher goes to Haas. So I just love how that played out. But yeah, I mean, we got a German and Russian driver in the American team, and I totally agree with you. I'm not running to go get Haas merchandise, whether they were Rich Energy or Haas, or Uralkali. I don't care. I'm not running to go get Haas merchandise, even as an American. And I don't know about you, I feel an affinity for them because they're the American team, but they're not my favorite team.
I know, but it's one of two things, right? Williams is an independent, but they've been around so long that they've won a place in your heart. McLaren is McLaren. They're always going to be there. Ferrari's Ferrari. A lot of these teams have just that notion. I think the only team that you could probably argue that has a fan base just because of where they're from is Alpine, right? They're a French team, and the French are a proud people.
Ferrari.
No, I think Ferrari is
to
loved.
An extent.
Ferrari is loved because, listen, I get the Tifosi and I get they're Italian, but Ferrari is loved because they're Ferrari. Because they've been around for 50 years, and they have people that are bred and born into it that grew up watching Schumacher and Jean Surtees and all these big names coming up and watching Ferrari win these championships. They're bred into it now. You got to think, even though Ferrari is Ferrari and they have the Italian fan base, they have a fan base outside of Italy because Michael Schumacher was a monster. So if you go back to somebody like Haas, where they've only been in the series, a few years, they just don't hold that same prestige. Like if it was named a Lotus, that would bring some love to the team just because they hold that name. But Haas doesn't hold that name inside Formula One.
Agreed.
And Haas, and they haven't been around long enough, nor have they won anything to really make themselves a marketable brand. He would have to, again, do something to go out of his way to make it a household name here in America. And I just don't think he's doing that, because I don't think he even really thinks that there's a foothold in America. I think his whole thing was, I just want to go racing. I have the ability to buy a team. I have the ability to do something. If we can get the backers, let's go racing. And if we're a fan of people overseas, because at one point they had Grosjean, they had Magnussen, they had drivers that were not American. That's another reason why I don't think there's an American driver on the American team, is because I think he's trying to appeal to the European and Russian and every other fan base, because he knows that here in America, Formula One isn't as big as it should be.
Mm-hmm. So
we'll see how it goes, man. Let's talk about testing a little bit before we wrap up this show. What did you see from testing, other than you thinking that for Red Bull is going to be able to take it to Mercedes this year? How did you feel about the Aston Martin? How did you feel about Ferrari? Do you think they brought the engine up to where it's supposed to be? Do we still think that Williams is going to score some points this year? What do we say?
Joe, first off, I absolutely love the 3 days only, because it still leaves so many question marks. I think it just built up the excitement so much. Because literally there's so many, things of we don't know yet. And I think that the teams don't know yet. I love that we don't know where Mercedes is. I love that the Red Bull seems to be competitive. We'll see. I love the innovation from the midfield teams. It looks so competitive this year, whether you got McLaren doing the diffuser where nobody else thought of it, and yet it's 100% legal and everybody is rushing to copy it now if it's going to benefit their car, right? They're all going to test that out. But it seems like that's what has helped the McLaren do so well.
So what was do you know the details on that? Do you know what they actually changed?
What happened was the FIA came out and in conjunction with taking off that triangle from the back of the floor, the FIA said that you needed to the downy bits, as F1 TV talk Tech Talk likes to call it. He literally calls it, I forget his name, and I think his name starts with Sam. His first name's Sam. He calls it the downy bits. So the FIA came out and said that you need to raise up the downy bits by 50 millimeters. So chop off 50 millimeters from the bottom of your diffuser. So that's going to bring it up. That means that the vanes coming down aren't giving you as much stability. Therefore, you lose rear end downforce. What McLaren realized was that there was a center pane further, not on the edge of the diffuser. It was a little bit more in, and that wasn't part of the regulations. But nobody had their downy bits lined up with that center pane because it was so close. What they did is they lined up their downy bits with that part and then extended it on a slant towards the bottom of the diffuser. And thereby they got those 50 millimeters back. Yeah, it's not exactly the same, but everybody else's diffuser is 50 millimeters shorter than McLaren's. And McLaren has this on an angle downward. So again, it's nowhere close to what it used to be, but they are being able to extend lower those downy bit panes, which give them so much more stability. So ingenious, and everybody that finds that it'll work there.
I feel like that's such a simple fix, and nobody thought of it. Such a simple fix. No, not one of those millionaire geniuses was like,
"Yep,
yo, if we just raise the actual top, then we could make them just as long."
Yep. You got Mercedes coming out with a wavy floor, which, oh my goodness, did they think that was going to be the greatest innovation of the year, with how much they went to conceal. I mean, everybody tried to conceal it. The livery launches were literally livery launches. Nobody launched their 2021 car. Nobody. Everybody saved it for testing.
Super secret squirrel.
But so, I mean, Mercedes went really wavy with the floor. Doesn't seem to have helped as much as they thought it would. You got Alpine with a freaking air vent that just harkens back to Ligier back in the day with this massive, fat-bodied engine cover. Like, dude, it looks like they got up all the air in the world.
It literally looks like they have a bison's hump. Like, if you ever look at a bison and right behind the bison's head, it has this massive, I used an American animal, motherfucker. But if you ever look at a bison, it's massive. That thing is it looks so bulky for a Formula One car.
But what it allowed them to do was bring the side pods in more, because they were able to take the cooling that was there and put it up top. So it messes up their center of gravity and how low their centrifugal force is, but it does enable them to have better airflow around the car, which they're hoping will help with the rear end.
They took the Honda Civic approach, where they're just like, yo, I put an intake and exhaust on my Honda Civic. Yeah. And now it's 300 horsepower.
But I mean, just the optics of it looks so crazy. So McLaren looks strong. Aston Martin, I really wish we could see the Aston Martin without the pink and having that bright yellow, like in WEC and in
that bright yellow would have been unreal.
Yeah, it would have been really cool. But they looked a little weak too. They had technical difficulty, just like Big Brother Mercedes. Who else? Oh, bro, you remember when we came up with our um predictions for 2021, and I was putting Williams way up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
They're
They're
pretty
definitely
good.
going to kick Haas's ass this year.
They look pretty good. I can't
And
hate
Alfa
on you.
Romeo don't look too good either, man.
You may have called it. We'll see. I'm really excited to see what happens with that. What do you think about Tsunoda and Gasly?
Oh my goodness. Yo, AlphaTauri just, oh my goodness, they killed it. I mean, that whatever they did, whatever they took from Red Bull, decided not to take from Red Bull, was perfect. They evolved that car themselves magnificently, and they got a driving team to die for. They got Gasly, who's going to be their potential race winner again. You got Tsunoda, who's going to be gunning for everybody. Everybody. As long as he did, you hear what he did with the DRS, right? As long as he can get the DRS opened at the right point, he'll be good.
Apparently,
you heard
he
what
was
he did.
He
right?
was opening it early or some shit like that.
Like way early, like way early. So like he was.
Sometimes you got to do what you got to do,
man. Last session, he was second in the timings, just below Verstappen. But apparently they come out and that DRS was like way open. I heard somewhere it was like, it didn't really, have that much of an effect.
Bullshit.
He was still close, but yeah.
I don't know, man. That's funny. I think you know what probably happened. Probably what happened was he was probably like, you know what? It's the last day of testing. Fuck it, YOLO. Like I'm not going to get a penalty for this. I won't do it again. But let's see how fast this bad boy can go.
But
I'm not going to lie to you. I can't hate on him for it.
The DRS works differently in Formula 2 than it does in Formula 1. Like the DRS, as far as I know, I think in the junior categories, the way the DRS works is the second they take their foot off the gas, DRS closes. Whereas in Formula 1, the DRS doesn't close until they apply the brake. But it's just that where they trust the F1 drivers that little bit more to keep stability while off the gas, whereas the second you lift in Formula 2 and Formula 3, DRS closes. In Formula 1, they give you until braking.
I didn't know that.
There is differences between the system. He is a rookie. It may have legitimately been a mistake, and he just didn't know how the system worked 100%.
Maybe. We'll see. We shall see. I think
that's my dude, though. Did you see? Oh, wait. Last day, I'm so sorry, but Tsunoda, he's so freaking funny. They said
his tweets.
Formula One put something out there like, what do you want from Tsunoda this year? And he put to grow.
Yeah, he's a funny little kid. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm really excited to see. I think AlphaTauri is gonna turn some fucking heads this year. I think
sister team all the way. No more junior team.
No way. I think it's gonna be really impressive. I think this year is gonna be great. I can't wait to get it going. Again, when this episode comes out, it will be race week. And I cannot wait for race 1. And with the new job, I could actually watch on Sundays, which I'm really stoked about because my daughter actually, what's funny is my daughter's going to swim classes now on Sunday mornings, but I'm going to make her take the wife. So I can sit home with my son and watch the races. All right, everybody. We want to thank you guys for joining us. Another quick hitter for you. Stay tuned. We got some more episodes coming. We're going to set up some more interviews for you. beardedgaragistas.com. 5 stars on all the podcast sites. Comment and like. If you guys want us to talk about something specific, you want to give us some feedback, hit us up. Instagram, comment on YouTube. Let us know what you got.
Subscribe. Put that notification bell on, guys.
There you go. Brett, you got anything else to say?
No, man. Just keep giving the love. We love doing this for you guys.
All right. We'll see you guys soon. Peace.
Peace.